The smallest and most densely populated countries in the world, Singapore is a breeze to explore. Nothing is more than an hour away from the central business district. Built at the crossroads of maritime trading routes, for well over a century, Singapore was the jewel in Britain's empire. When the city became a republic in 1965, few thought a country with so few resources and of vastly different ethnic groups could succeed. But succeed it has, on an unimaginable scale. Singapore today is one of the 4 Asian economic tigers, a futuristic bridge between East and West. Yet despite blossoming into one of the great global cities, Singapore is a nation that still cherishes its Asian traditions. Once filled with trading houses and opium dens, Chinatown's historic shophouses have been transformed into restaurants, boutique hotels and gift shops. Pick up a good luck charm in the Pagoda Street Market, or find a few moments of quiet reflection at the Buddha Tooth Relic Temple. Across town, Little India crams all the colours, scents and gods of the Indian subcontinent into just a few city blocks. While in the nearby Malay and Muslim quarter of Kampong Glam, the streets are a treasure trove of handicrafts from the Arabian world. One thing unites all Singaporeans: food. It's the national obsession. For an authentic Singaporean makan experience, follow the satay smoke to the nearest hawker centre. For more upscale dining, head to the bright lights of Boat and Clarke Quays. Despite Singapore's high urban density, the island is incredibly fertile. They say if you stick a broom handle into the soil, it will flower overnight. Escape the heat and enter a world of colour at the Singapore Botanic Gardens and the National Orchid Garden. For a slightly wilder experience, explore the jungle paths of the Bukit Timah Nature Reserve. Singapore's animal residents are a pretty diverse bunch too. Famed for its forest setting, the Singapore Zoo is home to over 300 species, including the world's largest captive colony of orangutans. While the Jurong Bird Park has been bringing human beings and bird life closer together for over 40 years. Singapore enjoys a hot tropical climate. When the cooling afternoon rains come, indulge in that other Singaporean obsession, shopping. Orchard Road offers miles of retail indulgence. For a change of pace, head to the Bugis markets to really rub shoulders with bargain hunting locals. When it's time to unwind, climb aboard a cable car to Sentosa, an island playground filled with resorts, theme parks, beaches and bars. At Sentosa's western tip is Fort Siloso, a vivid reminder of Singapore's darkest days during World War II. Closer to town is Singapore's big backyard, East Coast Park. This 10-mile recreational park is lined with bike paths and beaches, and is proof that busy Singaporeans do know how to kick back and relax. A little further east is Changi Beach. From here, catch a bumboat to the island of Pulau Ubin for a taste of kampong life that has all but vanished on the mainland. Pulau Ubin's quiet beaches, mangroves and wetlands are a world away from the buzz of modern Singapore. But you don't need to ride a bumboat to head back in time. Simply step through the doors of Raffles Hotel and order a Singapore Sling. Many of history's greatest adventurers and writers have cooled off in Raffles' legendary bars. In the 21st century, Singapore is attracting the world's most adventurous architectural minds. Marina Bay shines like something from a science fiction blockbuster, while Gardens by the Bay shows the endless possibilities of mankind's flowering imagination. Welcome to Singapore, where the future is only ever a few steps away from the past. A destination that proves that with unity, diversity and daring, even the smallest of places can grow into a giant.
Look, a bunch of Asians crowding into the subway. I'm sorry, it's not gonna get that kinky, unless you're really into hardcore ports. What time is it? It's time to sell our fancy watches so we can afford to go to Universal Studios in Singapore. That's right. Welcome to Sentosa. Welcome to a place that if you say its name fast enough, it'll sound like a tostada. Sentosa, tostada. That sounds really good right now, especially eaten on this artificial beach. That's right, this man-made beach was reclaimed using foreign white sand and lots of dolphin tears. Speaking of tasty, natural things to drink, be sure to check out the coconut ice cream here, served in a half shell, and served with even more nuts. Now that's a lot of nuts, but it only happened if there are pics to prove it. Hashtag coconut ice cream, hashtag spooning nuts. I'll admit that this was only delicious because I had two wonderful friends with me, Valerie and Annabelle. Spooning your own nuts just isn't the same. Thank you, ladies. Merlions are quite symbolic for Singapore. When you think of Singapore, you think of merlions. When I think of merlions, I think, how am I going to be able to afford to go there? Thus, I think of Singapore. Food at food courts, though, are relatively affordable. Prices can be compared to American prices, but you're getting a higher quality. Wipe away what you think or what you know about food courts. Food courts in Singapore offer high-quality local classics from various regions in comfortable surroundings. For lunch, we dine on some Indian food with our hands, which brought me back to my time in India, which I dine on some Singaporean food with a fork. And I can't wait to go back to India, by the way. It'll definitely happen sooner than later. Make sure you're still around to check that out, alright? Actually, are you still even around at this point in the video? Are you still watching? We're about to go to Clarke Quay here, and here we are. A premier way to see Singapore's skyline is to take one of these river cruises. You might learn a few things about the extended history of this city-state. I mean, from a small fishing village to a global leader. Skyscrapers galore. Take a step back and really appreciate just how far humanity has come. The buildings reach the only heavens I know. It took many great leaders and lots of dolphin tears to establish something so grand. If all of the sights and sheer mass and scale doesn't impress you or pique your curiosities, then perhaps this old tire tied to the boat will. And that's why Singapore is still one of my favorite places to travel to. I really like tires. And you'll be greeted by the symbolic merlion itself and the crowds of people who flock to see it. And it only happened if there are pics to prove it. Hashtag Singapore like a boss. Hashtag it squirts. Clarke Quay is one of my favorite places in Singapore. The quaint architecture lining the waterfront gives you a slightly different vibe from the rest of that urban feel. It feels more homely and definitely more relaxing. It's also an ideal place to grab a drink and people watch. Here, watch this guy. He's kind of a person. Nightfall. Things glisten and become even more attractive. Yes, I'm talking about me. And Clarke Quay isn't so bad either. Singapore wakes up in the darkness and another world creates new opportunities to explore and of course, to eat. This is Sui Jun on Jalan Besar, and I must say, dim sum in Singapore was beyond mouth-watering delicious. In fact, my mouth is watering just thinking about it. Oh. This scene was a little bit chaotic, but this place opens very late, so I'm sure that this isn't the last time you'll see dim sum on my channel. Classic examples of dim sum include soft chicken feet, meat dumplings, wontons, and egg dumplings. And be sure to drink some hot tea with some hotties. Once again, talking about me here. These little egg custard filled dumplings were simply out of this world. An amazing way to wrap up the night with some creamy goo all over my hands and mouth. Now, if you haven't tried dim sum before, I highly recommend that you go out to your local Chinatown and try it this weekend. Then it hit me that I was in Singapore, and I was probably going to have to do the dishes tonight. Thank you so much for watching. For more on Singapore, please subscribe to this channel and check out all of the playlists in the description. Like my Facebook to get more updates, and follow me on Instagram for pictures of my travels throughout Asia. And take care. kaole.net